Hi everyone, my name is Sarah and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Shardathon Team Viviana's reading vlog. I'm back with another reading vlog, I guess is what this will be. I don't really do reading vlogs, but I do like readathons, and I particularly liked this idea, or this readathon, because it is one, based on Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, and two, it's split into different teams, and then you just basically read a book that fits the prompts for the team that you've chosen. It is from Sophia's Thoughts. I will link their announcement video and channel down below. And for this vlog, I decided to do Team Viviana because I was trying to fit as many books that I was already reading onto this TBR already to just sort of see what happens. That all being said, let me get to those prompts. Alright, so prompt number 1 is eldest sibling, and that is to read a classic. So I'm going to be reading The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This was a book that I had picked out of my classics TBR jar back in March and just never read. So I rolled it over to April, which turned out to be not great because the April pick out of my classics TBR jar was The Count of Monte Cristo. There's no way I'm making myself try to read that in this month. It's going to take me at least 2 months, and I'm just going to have to accept it. So the next prompt is reserved, a book you've been meaning to read for ages. And that's going to be Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I have never actually read this series. I've started it a few times. There have been a couple of different Cosmere or Brandon Sanderson or Mistborn read-alongs that I've tried to participate in. My biggest problem is they go at such a fast pace, and then once I start to fall behind, I just give up, basically, and never get caught back up. And then I just go, I don't feel like reading that anymore. But Joanna is doing a Cosmere Unbounded readathon, which seems to be, yes, still basically one book a month, but there is a couple of months off between the different series, and they do have like some like novellas or short stories kind of mixed in there, so it doesn't feel as intensive as, okay, read one Mistborn book every month and then read one Stormlight Archive book and then go back to Mistborn and let's do this. And it just feels like it'll be easier. Am I already behind? Yes. Do I think I'm going to get caught up? That's really anyone's guess at this point. The next prompt is a Royal Locks, a book with one color on the cover. So for this prompt, I chose Vicious by V.E. Schwab because it is basically just a red book completely with a little bit of black and white on there. V.E. Schwab is an author that's on my like 10 authors I'm ashamed that I've never read from list, so I'm trying to read some of her stuff. So I put this book on this list for right now. But I may swap it out with Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, because this is a mostly blue book. I'm going to count this as one cover, or one color. It is one cover, whatever. It's late, kind of. So if I feel like I'm not going to be able to read all the books, I'm just going to kind of use this for this prompt, as well as the prompt of Expectation, a highly anticipated book, because this is a book that I am expecting to give 5 stars to. I have loved the other 2 books in this series. I really adore Talia Hibbert's writing. I'm very excited to read this book. I'm just trying to give myself as many outs as I possibly can for this reading vlog, because I know myself. I'm a mood reader at heart, and I'm very much if I start to give myself too much to do, I just won't do it. Then the final book on Team Viviana is Vasher, which is to read a book from, or to read a prompt from Vasher's list. And so I'm choosing the mysterious, read a thriller or a mystery. And I'm going to choose Confessions on the 745 by Lisa Unger, purely because I have it rented from the library and I only have it for like a week now, so I should probably read that. This is my tentative TBR for this reading vlog. I mean, it does, like, there are 5 books, but I feel like, I only have one that's, like, pretty, like, a little bit chunkier, which is Mistborn. So I feel like it's pretty doable, pretty manageable for this sort of reading vlog. So with that, I leave you, and I will check in when I start reading one of these books. Okay, so quick update. I have started Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. It is my prompt for an anticipated read, and potentially might be my prompt for like the solid color cover. I'm 112 pages in, so I did start it. I am enjoying it and I'm liking it. I don't like it as much as the other two at this point, where I'm like 100 pages in and I'm not as wrapped up in the story as I wanted to be. And I think it's just because out of the two lead characters, I just don't relate to either of them very much. Our personalities are slightly different and they're meet cute. They kind of start off on the wrong foot, which is fine. And I also don't love the way that it sets up that like Eve needs to prove herself worthy of this position and worthy of love, in a sense that I'm not loving. However, I am trusting Talia Hibbert to like not make it feel that way past this certain point, and specifically not make it feel that way within the relationship itself, because she really doesn't allow them to allow any of the Brown sisters or any of her heroes actually either to really get into a situation within the romances that we're reading about where there's like a drastic power imbalance. And so I'm hoping that stays sort of the case, especially if Eve is going to end up being Jacob's like employee. But I still am liking it. It's still a fun romantic comedy. It's still Talia Hibbert's amazing writing, so I'm still loving it. I just wanted to give you a quick update on Act Your Age, and I will check in with you all if I have anything more to say about it or when I finish. Quick updates here. I read another couple chapters of Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Like, I'm still liking it. I'm just not loving it yet. And I think it's just more like a preference thing, where I don't really love sort of antagonistic sort of lovers, and I don't really like enemies to lovers. So I think that's where my sort of struggles, if you will, are, because I felt the same way about Get a Life Chloe Brown, with Chloe and Red's relationship beginnings. And I think I'm just about to get to the point where Jacob and Eve are actually going to like start to be friends. Fingers crossed, hopefully. And I think once I hit that point, I'll like it a lot more. Right now I'm just struggling a little bit. So my struggle is, do I start Confessions on the 745, which is a thriller, or do I start Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, which is a fantasy? Because Mistborn might take me longer, and so if I read a little bit of that every day, or whatever, I could theoretically read more of that. But I think I could get through this thriller faster. It is also due at the library in like a week, so I have to read that before that point anyways. I feel like I just talked myself into reading this thriller one next. That's totally fine. I will read it. I honestly don't know much about it. Okay, sorry, I was just reading the cover, and it's kind of like Strangers on a Train, except not, where apparently Selena meets this woman who says that she's having an affair with her boss, and then Selena's like, yeah, I think my husband's cheating on me with the nanny, and the nanny turns up dead. I shouldn't laugh, death is not funny. But it's this idea of like, I think this other person is going to try to expect something from her. Okay, that sounds interesting. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna read this, or start this at least tonight, and kind of see how far I get with it. So yeah, so that's what I got for y'all. I will check in with you later. Okay, so I thought I should do a quick update since I finished officially Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was my highly anticipated prompt. What is it called? Expectation prompt. A highly anticipated book. So that's good that I have 1 prompt finished. Technically 2 if I don't actually make it too vicious, so that's great. So my thoughts are, I liked it, like I thought I was going to, but I did not love it. And I think I have the same sort of thoughts about it and feelings about it as I do for Get a Life Chloe Brown, which I loved, and I had a lot of fun reading it, and I enjoyed myself, but the tropes just like weren't the tropes that I personally enjoy. It's just a matter of personal preference, because both Get a Life Chloe Brown and Act Your Age Eve Brown kind of rely on a sort of antagonistic romantic tension, or like an enemies, quote-unquote enemies to lovers situation, and I personally don't like either of those. I will say that in this book, more than the Chloe Brown one, I do get the feeling that Eve and Jacob are friends before they like sleep together and are basically like, we're in love, because that's, you know, with romances, you sleep together, you're in love. That usually is how it works. So I like that I got to see them actively trying to be friends before they hit that like love part, because I personally like having that step. But since it's not the tropes that I personally love, I didn't love it as much as I loved Take a Hint Danny Brown. Take a Hint Danny Brown is dealing with like a fake relationship trope, and that is my favorite thing. So I think that one's just my favorite. It's fine. But like I did ultimately really enjoy it. I'm sure this is gonna get a high score for me because the writing is fantastic. The characters are really good. It's still a fun read, and it's just purely my own tastes about it that I don't love as much as other people. But still great. Really happy I got to read that so quickly. Happy with that. So then it becomes, which of the 4 books am I going to work on now? It's the weekend, so I have some time, so I think my plans are going to be finish Confessions on the 745, and then start both The Picture of Dorian Gray and Mistborn. I think if I could get started on both of those and finish this one, I'll feel like I'm in a good spot going into next week. So I've read about 90 more pages of Confessions on the 745, so I'm like 140 some pages into it. I don't love it. I feel like there's too much going on and too much that I don't care about, but I'm going to keep reading. I have not read anything else yet today, but I got my vaccine shot, so I'm still like kind of tired, which I think is why I'm having like a hard time like focusing too much. So I think I'm just going to focus on this book for today, and if I feel like it, maybe read some of the Mistborn later tonight, like in bed, because that's the other book that I actually really want to read, and I really am not interested in reading The Picture of Dorian Gray right now. So since I'm kind of feeling a little under the weather, I think I'm gonna just allow myself the luxury of just reading Confessions on the 745 and Mistborn if that's what I want. But wanted to give a quick update. Okay, so I wanted to do a quick update on Mistborn. I am about 100 pages into it, and I'm very, very intrigued. I love Kelsier and I love Vin, but I love the kind of opposition that they bring, where you have Kelsier, who is very focused on revolution and very focused on being a part of it and trying to get everyone else to believe and act like he wants and how they need to if they want to rise up against the Lord Ruler. And then you have Vin, who is just trying to survive and sort of not trusting of anyone and not really and she's just not really invested in this idea of a revolution or a rebellion. She's just wanting to survive. And I think the sort of relationship between the two of them is going to be so interesting to watch them as they continue on. And it's just so fun. It's so good. I'm so happy that I'm finally picking it up. Fingers crossed that it continues. Okay, so quick updates. Ignore the super brightness behind me. My window's open and we're just gonna deal with it. So I didn't really update over the weekend too much. Obviously, I was a little under the weather. But I did start Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I got 103 pages into it. I updated you. I'm liking it. And my plan going forward is to keep reading this as I finish The Picture of Dorian Gray and Confessions on the 745. And then I'll likely carry this book over into my next Shardathon vlog because it will fit a prompt from a different team and just count it that way because it's getting later in the month and I need to just kind of cut my losses where I can. So that's the plan for this book. Haven't started Picture of Dorian Gray. I tried this weekend, but it was too much for me to do when I was like a little bit sick, so I just didn't. So I did make quite a bit of progress on Confessions on the 745. So I just got to part 2, which is All Our Little Lies, and I'm still liking it fine. Like, and I feel like at this point we are like 230 some pages into this book, and like about 40 or some pages ago, or 60 pages ago, like somewhere towards the end of part 1 we finally kind of understand why Pearl is included, and then we are introduced to Hunter, who is somebody who's like a private detective type of thing, so he's now included. And I'm understanding why certain things are happening. And I think my problem is I'm still like not as like invested as I want to be in this book. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more like interconnectedness with all the characters than I'm aware of yet. But I am down to the last like 100 and some pages. Like 130 pages, so hopefully I'll find out some of these answers soonish. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so I'm going to finish this up hopefully by tomorrow, and then I'm going to officially start The Picture of Dorian Gray. I'm not going to be reading Vicious for this vlog. I have too many other things that I need to read, so I'm just going to count Act Your Age Eve Brown as both my like highly anticipated read prompt. What is it? Okay, so Act Your Age Eve Brown is going to be my expectation prompt, which is to read a highly anticipated book, and a Royal Locks prompt, a book with one color on the cover. So that's going to cover both of those prompts. So I'm still on the eldest sibling, reading a classic, which is Picture of Dorian Gray, and then Reserved, a book you've been meaning to read for ages, which I've already started, which is Mistborn, which is great, and then reading a prompt from Vasher's team, which is reading a mystery or thriller, which is Confessions on the 745. So this vlog will end up having like 3.5 books on it, and we're gonna just move on. So that's where I'm kind of at. I just wanted to give an update since I really didn't update at all over the weekend, and I will check in with y'all when I finish Confessions on the 745. So I did finish Confessions on the 745, which is great. I liked it. I feel like there was a really interesting way everything worked out together, and the sort of final twist was really good in the sense of I ended up liking it more than I thought I was going to with that final twist. I do sort of wish that Selena would have been a little bit more proactive in discovering certain things and being a part of the story a little bit more, because she was a bit passive, but I also understand that's the story that was being told and I get why. So yeah, so I did officially finish this one. Okay, and then obviously this was not technically a book from the Team Viviana prompts. It was from the prompt to read a book from Vasher's prompt. And Vasher has a mysterious, which is read a thriller or mystery, and this was definitely that thriller. So I've officially finished 2 books and 3 prompts altogether, so I am very happy with that. It's still early tonight, so I might start reading that a little bit, or I might read a little bit of Mistborn and see how I feel, but I just wanted to give that quick little update. So as a quick update, I did read the first 50 pages or so of The Picture of Dorian Gray. It's fine. it's not what I was expecting, and I'm realizing now that I actually never read this book. I thought I did when I was in high school, but I think maybe we didn't. Or I think if I did read it, I think it was part of the English class where we only read like certain excerpts from certain books and pieces of literature. For some reason in that class we never read the full works, and part of that was because I think I went to like a Lutheran high school and there were certain things that we weren't allowed to know about and we weren't allowed to talk about. And so I'm not sure. I'm curious as I keep reading this if I did actually read it, or if I just thought I did, or if it was one of the books on the recommended reading list, like here are some of the books you should read, that I just picked and chose which books I felt like reading. So I did make some progress in here. I was listening to the audiobook, but I was having a really hard time following along, so I started reading it, and then my problem is the audiobook is either too fast or too slow, so I'm just going to read it straight. Maybe I'll listen to some of the audiobook if I take like a bath later or something. But yes, so my plans for tonight is to read a little bit more of The Picture of Dorian Gray, and then to make some more progress in Mistborn. So there's a helicopter. I feel like every night when I'm making an update there's a helicopter overhead, and it's just what it is. So I will check in with you all when I have any more thoughts. Okay, so I wanted to give quick updates here. Over the weekend I read the entirety of The Picture of Dorian Gray. My thoughts are, it was fine. I definitely haven't read the whole thing before because I have absolutely no recollection of Harry. So I'm pretty sure what I read was in English class in high school, where it was sort of cherry-picked scenes of certain classical works that we read. It was interesting. There's a lot to think about, and I also am just kind of like, meh. That's kind of how I feel. Reading this has successfully completed the eldest sibling prompt, is that it? Yeah, reading a classic. So that means I have 4 prompts down, 1 more to go. I'm still only 100 pages into Mistborn, but I think what I'm going to do is aim to get to the end of part 1 in this vlog, and then I will carry on reading Mistborn in my second Shardathon vlog. So that's going to be the plan for today. I've got about 70-ish pages to read. So that's the plan for today. Hopefully I get through it, and then I can move on to my next Shardathon vlog. So fingers crossed. Hello. Ooh, I'm super out of focus. Okay. Okay. Final wrap-up update for this Shardathon vlog, Team Viviana. I finally got to the end of part 1 of Mistborn. It took me a little bit longer than I would have liked, but you know, here we are. It is what it is. So I still have some time to finish up this book, but like I said a little while ago, I'm going to carry this book over into my other Shardathon vlog for Team Vasher for some prompts, just because it is rapidly becoming the end of the month, so I'm running out of time here. But I wanted to do a quick wrap up for this vlog and sort of go through what I actually read and what prompts I filled and things like that. For the eldest sibling prompt, that was to read a classic, and I read, grab it, The Picture of Dorian Gray. And then for the reserved, which is basically a book that you've been meant to read for a while, or you've been meaning to read, I don't know why I can't speak right now, that you've been meaning to read for a while, I started Mistborn. Obviously a book that I've been meaning to read for like a decade maybe, but I started it, so yay! That's great. And then for the Royal Locks prompt, which is basically to read a book with one color on the cover, I read Act Your Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert and loved it. This was also my book to fill the expectations prompt, which was to read a book that you have high expectations for. So I read this book for 2 prompts. And then the last prompt on Team Viviana was to read a prompt from Team Vasher, and so I ended up reading the Mysterious, which was to read a thriller or mystery, and I read Confessions on the 745. But that brings me to the end of this Shardathon vlog. I really enjoyed these prompts. I really enjoyed reading these books and kind of vlogging my journey with it, I suppose. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And if you participated in this readathon as well. This is my first time participating, so I'm like really excited to kind of be here. But as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.